Okay, daily guide for this morning. CHRAJ indicts ex-GRA boss for 9 million Ghana cedis fraud. That's the big story on the front page of the daily guide this morning, and details are quite interesting relating to the procurement of some vehicles for the Ghana Revenue Authority. That's the controversy being stirred up by the daily guide this morning.
Yes, let me just share the details.
Oh, you have the details.
I have the
already.
details here, so let me just share the details with you, okay? Just give me a minute. Okay, yes, there you go. So let me just share the details. And this was as a result of a petition filed in 2021. Okay, and so CHRAJ, okay, in 2022. So it says on the 16th of August 2022, the Commission received a complaint from the Movement for Truth and Accountability, a civil society organization, alleging the corruption and fraud against the former Commissioner General. Now, that's Dr Amishaddai Owusu-Amoah, and the complaint alleges some infractions in the award of a contract for the supply of 15 vehicles and other logistics to 3 companies. And subsequent to this, the complainant, by a supplementary complaint dated 10th September, made further allegations of corruption and tax evasion, amongst other things arising from the contract. Now, this is the summary of the key findings by CHRAJ. It says the Ghana Revenue Authority, under the respondent as head of the entity, awarded contracts for the supply of vehicles and logistics to 3 companies, to wit Rona Motors Limited, Sajal Motors, and Telenor Ghana Limited, on October 1, 2021. Now, the GRA employed a single source procurement method in the award of the said contracts, contrary to the claims of the allegations that the authority deployed restrictive tender method. That the respondent misled the PPA in approving the request of the GRA to award the contracts to the said companies using single source procurement method in dubious circumstances. And the CHRAJ continues that the award of the contract was in breach of some provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663 as amended, and that the impugned companies were unable to duly fulfill their contractual obligations simply because they did not possess the requisite capacity to carry out the contract of such magnitude, and not because of disruptions in the supply chain owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, as alleged by the respondent. It continues, that's point 6, that the 2 of the companies, Telenor Limited and Sajal Motors, in fraudulent circumstances entered into separate contracts with Rona Motors for the supply of the same vehicles to GRA. Now, the prices of the vehicles procured from Rona Motors were inflated, having regard to the specifications of the vehicles and the fact of their bulk purchase compared to competitive prices of the vehicles at other firms, notably Toyota Ghana Company Limited. Point 8 says both Sajal Motors and Trading Company Limited and Telenor Ghana Limited had no physical locations and could not be traced to the addresses provided by them in all their correspondence at the time of the contract. Point 9 says that the contract for the award and supply of vehicles and logistics to the GRA was tainted with fraud and corruption, and that the respondent, being the entity head, cannot escape liability as he supervised its execution. Point 10, that as at the date of the complaint, the 3 companies, Rona Motors, Sajal Motors, and Telenor, were not tax compliant, as they had not fully satisfied, their tax obligations on the vehicles and other logistics supplied to the GRA.
How do you go into a deal with the Ghana Revenue Authority and not pay tax?
Let me continue. Oh, well, let me continue. We'll come back and deal with this, but I'm just sharing the details with you.
Whoa.
Point 11, that the action of the respondent caused financial loss to the state in the sum of $826,551 or 8.971 million as at the dollar CD exchange rate on the 27th of October 2025, the date of this decision. Now, it says that having found significant acts amounting to fraud, corruption, and loss of funds to the state and breaches of the Public Procurement Act as amended, the Commission, on the application of the above mentioned provisions, hereby decides as follows. 1. that the respondent be disqualified from holding any public office for a period of 5 years from the date of this decision. This is because the statutory breaches were committed under his watch. As head of entity of the GRA, the respondent was responsible and accountable under Section 17 of Act 633 as amended for action taking and for instructions as regards the implementation of this act. The Commission considers this sanction appropriate in the circumstances. 2, considering that the acts of corruption, fraud, and causing financial loss to the state are offences under the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, the Commission is referring the respondent and the directors of the 3 companies to the Attorney General for possible prosecution and the recovery of the sum of $826,551 lost to the state. 3, the Commission also requests the Board of the Public Procurement Authority as the governing body of the PPA under Section 3 of Act 633 as amended to debar the impugned companies CHRAJ, Motor Limited and Telenor Ghana Limited from doing any business with the state and its international agencies for the callous misrepresentation that the companies made to the GRA to put them in good state to win those contracts. It says Section 3Q of the Act as amended provides as follows. Functions of the authority in furtherance of its object of the authority shall investigate and debar from procurement practice under this act suppliers, contractors and consultants who have seriously neglected the obligations under a public procurement contract and have provided false information about their qualification or offered inducements of the kind referred to in Section 32. 4, it is recommended that the PPA board takes the proactive approach at all times and in all cases by insisting on the strict enforcement of the Public Procurement Regulations 2022 LI 2466, which has now been passed to reinforce the guidelines on single source procurement issued by the PPA. So there you have it. This is the decision of CHRAJ.
Yeah.
Who are the owners of these companies? Sajel and Telenor, or whatever the
Rona Motors, Sajel, and Telenor Motors.
Yes,
it's not stated in here. We can find out. So that's something that we need to check and get back to you. So let's continue with the papers. We'll talk more about this later on the show. I just felt I had to provide this update.
Interesting details there. But the New Patriotic Party is also slamming the judiciary over unreasonable bail terms. That's according to the General Secretary of the party. It's on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning. And still the talk about the visit of the German president, meeting Otunfo, and some other traditional rulers in the Ashanti region. KGL Boss will be speaking on PPP today. I believe that's tied to probably the launch of the GJ Awards.
He's speaking at the University of Ghana.
University of
program,
Ghana,
the University of Ghana,
yeah. Precisely. And 5-week pregnant trafficked teenager rescued in Takwa. These are some of the stories you'd find on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning.
Well, the Daily Graphic for this morning talks about that story. CHRAJ indicts former GRA boss accused of causing 9 million financial loss to the state. And unauthorized fines saga. Bastek headmaster removed from office. And it's important I share a bit of that story with you. So we're told that headmaster of the Pasa Senior High Technical School, Roxanne Kwame Terry, has been removed from office for unauthorized collection of money from students, and it was removed after a committee set up by the DG of the Ghana Education Service found him culpable of the collection of 150 Ghana cedis from each of the 2,900 students of the school located in the Nkwanta North District in the OT region. And the public relations officer of the GES, Daniel Fenyi, who disclosed this to Daily Graphic yesterday, said the Director General of the service had directed that Mr. Terry reports to the OT Regional Directorate for reassignment. Okay, but has it been made to refund the money? It's very, very important.
Yeah.
That he refunds the money to the students. Now, husband burns wife.
Is reassignment a punishment?
Partly.
Well, he's been asked to, but the story continues that reassignment does not mean that he will be a headmaster of another school. The understanding I have is that there are other sanctions that will be meted out to him. That's what Daniel Fenyi says. But reassignment may not necessarily be a punishment. But the challenge is that what we've considered as punishment is that sometimes people engage in certain malpractices, and instead of they, say being suspended or probably dismissed, they are transferred to deprived areas, and that is seen as punishment. But husband burns wife, 5 children.
What?
And he suspected his wife of infidelity. We're told an abusive marriage ended on a painful note last Saturday as the mother, her 5 children, and a grandchild were burnt to death in suspected arson. At the center of it is the woman's husband and the children's father, Yahweh Friye, who abused his family at will, spent time in jail for inflicting wounds on 2 of his children, and yet showed no signs of slowing down. Efriye was found hanging from a tree in a suspected case of suicide that shocked the central region, and the horrifying fire incident suspected to have been deliberately set by the estranged husband claimed the lives of his wife.
So the idiot then killed himself.
He later killed himself. Yeah.
Okay.
But before you get into
what you would like us to just move along, just gloss over this story and move on to something else? What do you have there that's more important than a man killing his 5 children and then hanging himself?
Anyway.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And he was doing this all this time. People saw it. People are now telling us that he used to abuse his family and nobody did anything about it. You go and check, go and find out. This woman's family probably insisted that she stay with him for the sake of the children. Oh my goodness.
Brother, before you continue, there's another story here that says GRA simplifies tax for informal sector, and it was during the launch of the Sustained National Tax Education Campaign and the modified taxation scheme launched by the GRA yesterday. So now all you need is your Ghana card and your GPS address, and then on your phone you can actually sign on to become a taxpayer. You indicate your turnover, and based on that, 3% tax is calculated for you, and you pay that annually. The good thing, though, is that Blessed, that these taxes are not paid, at a go, right? You pay quarterly. So once you're told that you're supposed to pay, say, 3,000, you divide that into 4, and you pay that at the end of every quarter. So that's the modified taxation scheme that has been launched by the Ghana Revenue Authority. Back page, distribute doctors fairly nationwide. I'll just make a point on this. We've talked about advertising these vacancies, okay? I do not think that the state, the Ministry of Health, right, should be recruiting doctors to say this batch of doctors get into the Ministry of Health or the Ghana Health Service. The district assemblies and the district health directorates, if they have vacancies, should actually advertise them and recruit these people, so right, where you're going to. Why should someone sit in Accra recruit when the district would actually be able to say, this is where I'm in the vacancy, this is my hospital, I need you, come here, because I want you to come in, I'm giving you these incentives, come in and work for me. I know we talked about this years ago about getting districts to appoint teachers and doctors. So when it comes to education and health, we're devolving that totally to the district assemblies. I don't know why we're still doing this and asking doctors to actually, accept postings to other parts of the country. No. Let those parts actually advertise and say, come in here. And then the district assembly says, because I need you to come here, when you come, this is what I'm going to give you. That person, that young man who's finished and he needs a job, he will go there.
Yeah. In fact, Winston, the Daily Democrat is talking about that story as well. Looks like the health minister is equally concerned about that. So we understand that some 700 doctors will be redeployed. So the Daily Democrat also has that story this morning. Then there's the talk about the tax system that you were talking about. One from the GRA boss himself, who's championing tax awareness. And then there's also the chief of staff who's been speaking about the need for transparent tax systems, which he says is critical to Ghana's development. So these are some of the stories you'd find on the front page of the Daily Democrat this morning. And the concerns also about the 2024 election violence report. 15 killed, 40 injured, we understand, in 2020-2024 elections. That's being disclosed by the Interior Minister, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak, who has also given us a sense of what might have transpired within the Kaswa area during the last elections. Gold Board opens new licenses window for as R&B touts Ghana as top African investment destination, and State Housing Corporation is also launching some discount to drive recovery of debts for the State Housing Corporation or company. So these are some of the stories here on the Daily Democrat.
Now, the Daybreak newspaper today says Ghana to have West Africa's best road network, says President John Dramani Mahama. It will be a good thing to have the best road networks in West Africa, roads that would last us longer than we currently have. City FM marks 21 years of relevant radio with gratitude and grace. It's also here on the front page. Yesterday we wished them. KGL boss speaks on PPP at UG today. OSP's 100 million asset seizure claim false and misleading. Mustafa Hamid, his lawyer, in a statement says that is not the case.
Right.
They do not have any business or related whatever that amounts to some 100 million that the OSP is seized. And as far as they are concerned, nothing of theirs has been seized by the OSP. They don't understand where he got that story from. Amish ghost companies exposed in GRA vehicle deal is also on the front page of the Daybreak. Let's get online now.
And on myjoyonline.com, there's the talk about food gluts, especially rice. It depends as farmers are now struggling to sell last year's harvest. We hope that the President's special advisor on Agric and the team at the Agric Ministry perhaps might want to work more with the farmers on how to resolve that. Then the story about Mustafa Ahmed that you're talking about, Winston is here as well, because he's saying that no assets or businesses of Mustafa Ahmed have been seized by the OSP. So many stories.
Was that a typo
claims
or a clerical error? I mean, is that what the Mr. Mustafa Hamid might be suggesting?
Well, that's what his lawyer released.
It's hard to understand how such a detail could be, got wrong by the OSP, right?
PDS acknowledges London Tribunal ruling, says they're reviewing the decision in ECG dispute, and also there's a talk about NDC MPs trading blame over Galamsey as Parliament debates mining menace. There's also the lack of interagency support, which hindered the attempt to block Oforiatta's exit. That's according to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So these are some of the stories you'd find online when you head to myjoyonline.com.